At 77, Billy Joel faces his most personal battle yet. For more than half a century, Billy Joel has been one of America's most celebrated musicians. His timeless songs have echoed through concert halls, family gatherings, road trips, and unforgettable moments in millions of lives. Classics like Piano Man, The Stranger, It's Still Rock and Roll to Me, and We Didn't Start the Fire have become more than hit records. They've become part of American culture. Few artists have built a connection with audiences as deep and lasting as Billy Joel, one of the greatest examples of that bond came during his historic residency at Madison Square Garden. Month after month, fans packed the arena to see him perform, creating one of the most remarkable concert runs in modern music history. Night after night, Billy proved that genuine talent and heartfelt songwriting never go out of style. Yet behind the standing ovations and sold-out performances, another story was quietly unfolding. In May 2025, Billy Joel shared unexpected news with his fans. Because of a recently diagnosed neurological condition, he would be stepping away from live performances while focusing on treatment and recovery. The announcement surprised music lovers around the world and raised an emotional question. What happens when an artist whose life has always revolved around music is suddenly forced to pause? For Billy Joel, performing has never been just a profession. It has been part of his identity. The piano has been his companion since childhood, helping him express emotions that words alone could never capture. Every concert represented decades of dedication, resilience, and an unwavering passion for connecting with people through music. His diagnosis, known as normal pressure hydrocephalus (NPH), affects the brain and can interfere with balance, movement, and cognitive function. While the condition can be serious, doctors often emphasize that many patients respond well to treatment, especially when diagnosed early. Billy's medical team immediately began a rehabilitation plan focused on helping him regain strength and stability. The news reminded fans that even legendary performers are not immune to the challenges that come with aging. Behind every famous face is a human being facing the same uncertainties that countless families experience every day. To truly understand why this chapter has touched so many people, we have to look beyond the headlines and revisit the remarkable journey that transformed a young boy with a piano into one of the most successful singer-songwriters in music history. This is fully rewritten in an original narrative style based on the source material while avoiding copied wording and structure. Here's part 2. Completely rewritten in an original style while staying faithful to the source material. Long before Billy Joel became a household name, he was simply a young boy growing up on Long Island, New York. The bright lights of sold-out arenas and Grammy Awards were still decades away. At that time, there were no signs that he would one day become one of America's most recognizable voices. His world was much smaller, shaped by family, hardship, and a piano that quietly changed the direction of his life. Billy was born William Martin Joel in 1949. Although he entered the world in the Bronx, it was the suburban community of Hicksville on Long Island where he spent his childhood. The neighborhood was filled with ordinary families working hard to build stable lives after World War II. Most parents expected their children to find dependable careers, not chase impossible dreams in the music industry. Life changed dramatically while Billy was still very young. His father, Howard Joel, had been trained as a classical pianist in Germany before his family escaped Europe during the rise of Nazi Germany. Music had always been an important part of Howard's life, and although he eventually settled in the United States, his marriage did not last. When Billy was only 7 years old, his father left the family and later returned to Europe. For any child, losing the daily presence of a parent creates questions that can last a lifetime. Billy has spoken over the years about that experience with honesty rather than bitterness. Instead of allowing disappointment to define him, he focused his energy elsewhere. That somewhere else was the piano. His mother, Rosalind, believed music could provide discipline and opportunity. She enrolled Billy in piano lessons while he was still a small child. At first, practicing wasn't always exciting, but something remarkable soon became clear. Billy possessed an exceptional musical ear. He could hear melodies and recreate them with surprising accuracy, picking up musical ideas much faster than most students his age. Teachers quickly realized they were working with someone unusually gifted. As Billy entered his teenage years, music became more than a hobby. It became a way to help support his family. He began performing with local bands around Long Island, playing wherever opportunities appeared. Small clubs, neighborhood venues, and late-night performances became part of his routine. Those nights on stage came with consequences because he spent so much time performing. Attending school became increasingly difficult. Balancing classes during the day and music at night proved nearly impossible. Eventually, Billy left high school before graduating, choosing to pursue music full-time rather than follow a more traditional path. At the time, that decision looked incredibly risky. There were no guarantees of success. Thousands of young musicians dreamed of making it in the recording industry, and very few ever did. Billy had no famous family connections and no clear roadmap to stare at him. What he did have was determination, endless hours of practice, and a growing confidence that songwriting could become his future. Those early years were filled with uncertainty. Money was often tight, opportunities were limited, and rejection was simply part of everyday life. But every performance strengthened his skills. Every audience, no matter how small, taught him something new about connecting with people. Without realizing it, Billy Joel was developing the qualities that would later define his entire career. Instead of writing songs designed only to impress critics, he learned how to tell stories that ordinary people could relate to. His lyrics reflected real emotions, everyday struggles, hopes, disappointments, and the complicated relationships that shaped people's lives. Listeners didn't just hear the music, they saw pieces of themselves inside it. That ability would eventually separate Billy Joel from countless other artists. The young man who once played small local venues wasn't chasing fame as much as he was chasing authenticity. He wanted songs that felt honest, songs that sounded like real life. Years later, millions of people around the world would discover exactly why that approach made him one of the greatest singer-songwriters of his generation. But before worldwide success arrived, Billy still had one enormous challenge ahead of him. Breaking into the music business would prove far more difficult than anyone imagined. This version is fully original in wording, sentence structure, and narration while preserving the key facts and progression presented in the source material. Here's part 3. Rewritten in a completely original style while preserving the factual progression from the source. Breaking into the music industry was anything but easy for Billy Joel. Like countless young musicians, he discovered that talent alone wasn't enough. Success required patience, resilience, and the willingness to keep moving forward even when every setback suggested it was time to quit. His earliest recording projects failed to attract much attention. One of his first solo albums suffered from production problems that prevented listeners from hearing his music the way he intended. Instead of launching his career, the album became a frustrating disappointment for many aspiring artists. That might have been the end of the journey. Billy chose a different path. Determined to keep pursuing his dream, he left New York and headed to California. To avoid contractual issues with his previous record label, he performed under a different name while playing piano at a small lounge in Los Angeles. Night after night, he entertained strangers, taking requests and watching the lives of ordinary people unfold in front of him. Although those performances were far from glamorous, they became an unexpected source of inspiration. The people he met in that lounge, the bartender, the regular customers, the lonely dreamers, and the workers looking for a brief escape after a long day left a lasting impression on him. Their conversations, struggles, and personalities eventually found their way into one of the most famous songs ever written. That song was Piano Man, released in 1973. It didn't immediately dominate the charts, but something even more meaningful happened. Listeners connected with it on a deeply personal level. The lyrics felt authentic because they were rooted in real experiences rather than manufactured stories. Over the years, Piano Man became much more than a hit single. It evolved into Billy Joel's signature song, a timeless anthem recognized across generations. Whether heard in concert arenas, neighborhood bars, weddings, or family celebrations, the song carried a universal message about hope, perseverance, and finding comfort through music. That breakthrough opened doors to even greater success. Over the next several years, Billy released a remarkable series of albums that firmly established him among the biggest names in popular music. His songs blended rock, pop, jazz, rhythm and blues, and classical influences into a style that was uniquely his own. Albums like The Stranger, 52nd Street, Glass Houses, and An Innocent Man produced hit after hit.